Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Ultimate Hypertrophy Program. So usually when I craft a bodybuilding program, it's a one-shot, meaning that you run it for 6 months to a year, and then you jump on to something else. And that is mostly fine. The issue is that usually the program that you're going to hop on has nothing to do with the previous one. So either in terms of aesthetics or in terms of consistency when it comes to the lifts you're going to be doing, it's going to create a big divide, meaning that you might end up losing a lot of time and even spinning your wheels. Many people are familiar with that. Program hopping is a plague in the lifting community and it can lose you years of progress. So what I propose is this. I created 5 programs from beginner to advanced. Instead of having to wonder where you're supposed to go next, what you're going to do is you're going to run every single one of them because they're all connected and they were all crafted and scheduled with in mind the idea that all of the lifts have to be in continuity, the volume has to be steadily increasing, and everything is in order to make sure that you are going to be able to put on a lot of muscles without ever getting bored and without ever plateauing. But it's not just that. I didn't just make 5 programs for you guys. I also included 3 aspects that you have been requesting for the past year when it comes to my programs. The first one being that you want a new novice program because the previous original novice program is now 3 years old. Many of the things in it I don't like anymore. My philosophy has changed. So this is the first part of it. You're going to get a new revamped novice program for the newbies out there who are discovering bodybuilding in this channel and who want to start fresh. And the second thing is you want a high frequency program. Most of my bodybuilding templates are 3 days a week to 4 days a week. I rarely do more because I think that most people can handle that amount of frequency. But many of you guys are apparently into the 5 times to 6 times a week frequency because you just love going to the gym. Issue being that you cannot program a 6 days a week template like you would a 3 days a week. So this time you are going to get the ability to train as many times as you want because I crafted the programs with in mind the idea that you're going to be in the gym almost every single day. And then the last aspect was that you wanted me to include the lifts that I put in my top 10 hypertrophy tier list and in my tier list as well. If you didn't know, I make tier lists for every single muscle group. You can find them in the description along with my top 10 favorite lifts. And it would make sense, of course, that I should include the best lifts in my opinion in programs, but oftentimes I also include lifts that I don't necessarily like, but that fit well. This time it's not the case. Only the best of the best made the cut, only the golden lifts. So these are the 3 things that you asked, I listened, and you're going to get in these programs. Programs that, of course, you will be able to find in the description for free. They are available for you. You will also find in the description the link to my Ko-fi page. You don't have to pay for the programs, but if you feel like it, you can donate to my cause. You can subscribe to my page. If you want to thank me for my work, that is, of course, purely optional. Now, let us get started with the programs. Before we begin properly, I just want to say a few things because I know for a fact we're going to get questions regarding certain aspects of the program. So first and foremost, every lift of the program can be replaced by another. Just because I put it there does not mean that it's set in stone. If you hate the lift, of course, replace it. You will see that the more advanced the program becomes, the more rotations are going to be included. And with rotations come variations, meaning that you will be able to do more than just one lift. This does not mean that if the lift is not listed, you cannot do it. You are smart if there's a lift that is not in the list. As long as it's in line of specificity in the same family, you can absolutely do it. If you see bench press and you love close grip bench press, please don't be afraid of doing close grip bench press instead. But to save you time, you'll see that I added variations to each program, even if you're not supposed to do rotations. What I mean by this is that you will see that there is a divide. When you get started with the novice intermediate programs, I usually give you 2 options, but I would prefer if you picked one, meaning that every time in these programs you read an OR, it's either that you have to pick one lift and just stick to it and do it every single week, which is relevant if you run the novice or intermediate programs, or that these are flexible rotations, meaning that you decide which lift you do on which week. You can do 1 week lift A, the other week lift B. That is absolutely up to you, but this is more relevant, again, if you run the advanced program. Before that, I recommend you stick to one, but again, you are not forced. When it comes to rep range and the frequency, I also suggest that you stick to them because, as you understand, a program is quote-unquote a complex structure and being, and if you start changing too many of the rep ranges, your volume is going to be all over the place. That being said, again, you are your own man and you can do whatever you want. Understand that I put a lot of thought into these programs and everything should be exactly what you need. Ultimately, my final goal is that you will be able to program for yourself. So if at some point into your lifting journey, you've been running this program for like 3 or 4 years and you think, okay, I think I can take the reins, I think I can do something better, absolutely do it, because you will be right. The only person that can best program for you is you. And I hope that this series of programs is going to teach you everything that you need, because the body learns faster than the mind. That being said, and disclaimer out of the way, we can begin with the programs. I'm not going to detail them or explain to you every single aspect of them because it would take literally hours, and the programs are fairly easy to understand. So I'm going to give you the broad spectrum of things you have to keep in mind when you run them. The first is the Novice program, my brand new Novice program. And of course, it's a full body split. Why? Because I believe that full body is best for beginner. Not that it's bad for advanced lifters. If you do it properly, it can work. But for novices, it's absolutely the best type of split, simply because it gives you just enough work to grow with a high intensity, enough volume, but also a ton of downtime so that you can recover, so that we just don't burn you out. Novices don't have much physical stamina, but more importantly, they have no mental stamina. If you keep a beginner in the gym for 2 hours every day, the guy will crash and burn before he even sees the hint of newbie gains. So this program is built with compounds and of course isolation, so that we can build a base, not a base of strength, a base of muscularity. You are going to have a complete physique by the time you end with this program. On Monday, you will begin with a barbell squat or a hack squat, 3 sets, not more than 3, 4 to 8 or 6 to 10, and you'll superset that with easy bar curls or dumbbell curls. Of course, the entire program is run by supersetting things. You will see that giant sets occur at some point, but as a novice, I will reduce the amount of giant sets you do as much as possible because, again, you don't have the stamina. Then you'll do a dip or a bench press, so this is going to be for your chest after your big leg movement, and you're going to superset that with a dumbbell row or a cable row, again, up to you. With these 4 lifts, we already have hit the legs, we have hit the chest, the shoulders, the triceps, the biceps, and the upper back. But we still need to focus on certain aspects of the limbs, like for example, the triceps. So you'll do some rope triceps extension or katana extension, some cable lateral raises or Powel raises, and some sit-ups or cannonball crushes. And just like that, your Monday is over, you can go home and you can rest. You will get 48 hours in between each session on this novice program. So you will train Wednesday next. Wednesday, you open with a barbell overhead press or a dumbbell overhead press. This time it's a vertical press for the shoulders. You will then do a hammer curl or a reverse curl for your forearms. Forearm isolation is key. And it will also hit your bicep to some degree, so it's a win-win situation. Then some neutral ups, so it's a neutral pull-up. It's a pull-up done with a neutral grip, or a neutral grip lat pull downs. Something that a lot of people noticed with my previous program, the Novice program, was that I was a bit overzealous with the pull-ups. I had you guys do a shit ton of them, and I now realize that it was maybe overzealous because, well, you really don't need to be doing that much. So this time you're going to do it, you're still going to do them because it's a great lift, but you're not going to do a gazillion of them. It won't be as many reps as possible. You'll weight them if you can, and that is that. Then you'll do some leg curls or hyperextension as a superset for your posterior chain. And we finish with some split squats or leg extensions, some dumbbell fly press or cable flies, and some neck curls. You train your neck in this program. You will train your abs, your neck, you will train everything that you can train because that is sort of the point of bodybuilding. But you notice that I don't try to kill you. Right? You don't do 7 sets of bench. You don't do multiple sets of legs on the same day. On this Wednesday, for example, you do split squats, leg extensions, you're going to do some leg curls. These are not big compounds for the legs, but you don't need to squat or deadlift 3 times a week to get big legs. The goal is to habituate the body. So since I have you do a heavy hip hinge on Friday, as you'll see, and a heavy squat on Monday, the Wednesday is going to be a quote-unquote rest day for the legs. You still train them, they'll still grow, but you're not going to be that tired. So that on Friday, again, we can start you off with a Romanian deadlift. On this program, you do not deadlift, and actually you do not deadlift at all in the entirety of the program because, well, as annoying as it is for some people, deadlifting is simply not optimal for hypertrophy. I still do it. I think it has its place in bodybuilding. But in this ultimate hypertrophy program, since the deadlift was like C tier, I'm simply not going to put it there. What you could do, however, is that you could also replace the Romanian deadlifts by a barbell row. That is, if you want more upper back. The barbell row is a great hip hinge movement that emphasizes the upper back. So it's a valid option as well. And we've superset that with some seated calf raises. Then you'll do some incline press or ring push-ups, depending if you want more shoulders or more chest. And we superset that with a dumbbell preacher curl or a Bayesian curls, each of which are going to train the bicep to a great extent. This is typically the type of lift that if you wanted, you could rotate even as a novice. Keep in mind again that this or means either pick that lift and only do that lift, or pick the two lifts and rotate them each week. Up to you. For the big compounds like the squats, like your barbell overhead press, I recommend you stick to only one. And for the ones like the isolation, you can rotate because neurological adaptation is not as important. And we finished that day with a leg press or Smith machine squats, some skull crushers or French press for the long end of the tricep, and some hanging knee raises or leg raises. I have you train abs 2 times in this program. So as you'll see again, it's a pretty classic, pretty standard full body split. My goal is that I do not want to kill you. I want you to be able to recover and I want you to be excited about the gym. I want you to go into the gym and be fired up. So your rest days are more numerous than your training days. And I think that for anyone who is getting started with bodybuilding, that is the key. You rest on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and you give everything that you have in the gym on these Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, you could be someone who's just getting started. You see this and you say, NH, you say that this should be easy, I should be able to recover, but this looks like a lot and I am intimidated. What can I do to ease myself into it? Do not worry, Papa NH has a solution for you. I came up with what I call the beginner version of this program. As I told you, it's from beginner to advanced. And the beginner version is simply the same program but tuned down. So instead of having you do 3 sets, you only do 2 sets. And you'll see that this makes a massive difference because when spread across the entire program, this saves you from doing a lot of work, it's less volume, and it is less intimidating per se. You'll also see that I completely removed the rotations and variations. That way you won't be so confused by all of these names of the lifts. No, just do what is written and you will be just fine. This, I think, is a good idea for anyone, again, who is afraid of jumping into this novice program that quote-unquote looks like a lot. If you actually look at the lifts that I have you do and you count them, every single day on the Monday, for example, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lifts. And out of these 7 lifts, only 1, 2 are compound movements. So it's only 2 compound movements, which is far removed from these programs that have you do like bench, squat, deadlift, rows on one day, and it's 5 sets. This is only 3 sets and you only do 2. You will see that I follow this rule on every single day. You don't do that many compound movements, that way you can give it your all. Actually, the rule is pretty much set in stone. You either do 2 or 3 compound movements each day max, and then the rest is isolation, so I guarantee you'll be just fine. So, this is for people who are going to run the beginner and the novice program. When do you know it's time to move up to the novice program if you started with the beginner program? Simple, it's when you realize that you can do more volume and you want to do more volume to progress, so you go up. You go up to the novice program, and when you graduate from the novice program, same logic, when you realize the amount of volume that this 3 times a week split has you do is simply not enough for you to progress, you start to plateau, or even better, you want to progress, you want to move up. Well, that is very good. The spirit of progression is the most important thing in bodybuilding. Where are you going next? Are you going to go to my intermediate program? No, because that's when we lose people. Times and times again, intermediate syndrome kicks people in the ass because they go from a novice program that is poor in volume, low in volume, to an intermediate program that just kills them with compound movements, and then they're like, oh, I cannot handle it, and they quit. Luckily for you, my novice program only will already habituate you to doing volume, so the culture shock of the intermediate phase will not be that severe. But still, I would like you to first and foremost transition by what I call my bridge. The bridge is what is going to connect the novice program and the intermediate program. In that, you're going to train 4 times a week now. The 4th day is going to be an arm day. I'm adding arm isolation everywhere, so the arm day is included, of course. I'm adding sets everywhere from 3 to 4 sets, and you could tell me, well, that's not much. You're right, but keep in mind that you do 7 exercises a day. 7 times 1 is 7, duh. Every single day, you're going to do an extra 21 sets a week. That is a lot. So you see that 3 to 4, yeah, it doesn't look like that much for one exercise, but if it's applied to everything, it's a lot. You'll see that that 21 extra set is actually a lie because it would be too much. It would be enough if you would jump to the intermediate program, but this is a bridge. So actually I cut it in 2. Only the first half of the week has those 4 sets and the rest stays to 3 sets. The arm day also has 4 sets. All of this, again, you can see, you can follow along in the description. I'm also going to include some slides with the programs. So the big difference in reality from the novice program is that it has more volume and also the rep ranges change because, as you know, if you go from 3 to 4 sets, you have to modify your rep range or else it doesn't make much sense. The goal of the bridge is to build work capacity, to be able to transition to intermediate. We want you to be able to do more work more often, and that is key, more work more often, without sacrificing intensity. There is no point in doing more sets or more reps if you sacrifice intensity because ultimately, yes, volume is what pushes muscle growth. So as you see, the more we advance into these programs, the more volume you're going to do, but the intensity has to stay intact because if it stops being intact, you're going to lose quality, and quality sets is the only type of volume that is worth shit in bodybuilding. Now, let's start with the bridge. I'm not going to cover the Monday or the Wednesday because it's literally the exact same split, but you do 4 sets now. You see 3 to 4 sets. Again, you can do 3 or 4. This is, again, a tool and a mechanism that is going to allow for progression. If you don't know how it works, please refer to the Evolving Rep Range playlist. It's really not rocket science. It simply means that if you do 3 sets logically, you're going to do less reps, so you're going to get more intensity. And then when you get to a point where you can actually max out the rep range on 3 sets, you add a 4th set that is going to allow you to get more volume, which will make it possible for you to add weight onto the bar. Then you revert back to doing 3 sets with less reps but more weight, and you repeat that until you become big as a motherfucker. So instead, let's look at the Friday. What is new with the Friday? Well, it's simple. I added upper back work. You are going to get into a point into your journey where you realize that the upper back is very glutinous in volume. And if you want to have a massive upper back, you have to train it intensely and frequently. But if you never get habituated to that volume, it's not going to work. So to ease you into the intermediate phase, I added some machine rows and some incline rows on that day. And I replaced what usually was arm isolation and I pushed it because your arm day follows the Friday. So you're going to train Friday and Saturday. Again, this is a trick to get you used to training back to back because before that, you always had 48 hours in between sessions. Now you have to come in after 24 hours. And even if you don't train the same body part, it can be quite jarring. So this is, again, a mechanism I put in place to make the transition easier. The Saturday is your classic arm day. I only have you do 4 exercises, incline press or ring push-ups for the chest and the shoulders, dumbbell pullovers or machine pullovers for the upper back, again, the additional upper back work, dumbbell preacher curl or Bayesian curl that used to be on the Friday for the biceps, and skull crushers or French press for the long head of the triceps. This is typical. It's an easy day. This is essentially a rest day. It's not that tiring at all. It's going to be fun and you will be done before you know it, which is why I have you do 4 sets on that day. Now you'll notice that on Friday you do machine rows and then you do dumbbell pullovers on Saturday. This is because these are 2 different patterns of upper back motions. You should be able to stay performant within 24 hours of doing each. There will come a time when you'll do both on the same day. So again, this is all to get you used to that. And when it comes to the rest days, suddenly you train more than you rest. You rest only on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So you see, I'm slowly making the full body switch and morph into something different. We are now turning our back to that great split that allows us to experience intensity and promote recovery. And we are going to move into a mode that has you train almost every single day. When do you move and when you know that the bridge has been crossed? Well, the bridge is crossed when your work capacity has grown enough that you still feel energetic at the end of your upper days. This is a typical telltale sign that it's time to do more volume. When you're done and you want to do more, instead of doing more on the same day, which will just be junk volume, it's time to up the frequency. You will also know when your muscular endurance allows you to consistently hit 4 sets of exercises. So when you realize that 3 sets really isn't cutting it, now you need 4 sets per body part per day to be able to feel anything, to be able to grow. This is also a great indication that it is time for you to move up. And this next destination for you is going to be the intermediate program. This frightening stage of every bodybuilder's journey. Keep in mind that we lose 95% of people at this stage. Most people never make it past the intermediate stage, but you will, because I made the program with that in mind. So your intermediate split is going to be an upper lower times 2 plus arms. So now you train 5 times a week. With high frequency also comes medium volume and medium to high intensity. That is the point. Forget about training 2 hours, 3 hours. This split will have you in and out of the gym between 1 to 1 hour and 20 minutes. And this is why I have you guys do supersets. It's to save time. Now, what can you expect from the frequency of this split? Well, first and foremost, you're going to hit legs hard 2 times a week. So instead of doing maybe 1 knee flexion and 1 hip hinge, you're going to get multiple exercises and multiple sets of exercises for the same muscle group for the leg. This frequent training split also involves more compounds more frequently because you're going to do more sets of them, and also a lot more isolation work, which is exactly why I decided on an upper-lower split. It's because it allows us to up the volume by training more frequently without damaging recovery. Whereas if you attempted to train 5 times a week on a full body split, you would quickly find out that fatigue would accumulate too much and you would crash and burn. So alternating between upper and lower is a good idea. On your Monday, for the upper, you'll do a day power bench, superset with a dumbbell row or incline row. You see, these are lifts you've done in the past. These are lifts that you're habituated to. It's nothing new. It's just that the volume and intensity changes. Likewise, you'll do a barbell overhead press or a dumbbell overhead press, and then superset with an easy bar curl or a dumbbell curl, and then a superset, a giant set that you're used to, tricep extensions, cable lateral raises, and sit-ups. The modifications are minor, but they are present. Every single thing on this program is 3 to 4 sets. So now you have the chance and the choice to do a lot more work if you so choose. On the Tuesday for the lower, you'll do a barbell squat or hack squat and seated calf raises, some power shrugs or clean pulls, superset with a leg curl or hyperextension, and then some split squats and leg extensions. You'll see that I also follow my golden rule of having the upper body days being longer and with more exercises. If we count together, we will see that each upper body day has usually 7 lifts, and every lower body day only has 6 lifts. It's also in line with that notion. And since you also train calves and neck on lower body, which are very important but not big compounds, you also understand why I'm prioritizing energy expenditure on the big knee flexion and hip hinges for your lower, because this is what is going to get you the most gains. The issue is if you approach upper body development with the same mindset, you will end up with spaghetti arms instead of having big arms, because isolation is just as important as compounds for upper body aesthetics. Now, this is also why for the Wednesday, we have an arm day. The arm day is still back. It's an upper-lower arm. Your arm day is going to be a close grip bench or ring push-ups, superset with a dumbbell pullover or machine pullovers. Of course, the pullover had to make its apparition in this program. Some GM presses or skull crushers and easy bar preacher curls or spider curls, again for arm isolation. And then some hammer curls or reverse curls, some upright rows and face pulls, and some windshield wipers and Russian twists. You still train abs hard, and actually in this program, if I'm not mistaken, I have you train abs 3 times a week. So you're going to get a nice 6-pack without having to starve yourself. This is for the upper-lower arms. This is for the first part of the week. As I told you, I pull the volume back a bit on the Friday and Saturday, where you will only be doing 3 sets of exercises instead of 4. Why? Because at this point, fatigue will have accumulated, but also because I need to give ourselves some space to progress into the advanced stage. You already train 5 times a week. If I have you do 4 sets already for every single day, where am I supposed to go next? since this is already plenty to grow, you are going to only stick to 3 sets for this day. So on the Friday upper, incline press or AD press for 3 sets, 8 to 12, 6 to 10, all of the rep ranges are in the description. Superset with a crack row or middles row. As I told you, you will be training your upper back pretty much on every single day. The only days that are an exception are the Tuesday lower and the Saturday lower, and that is because I have you train yoke instead of lats, rhomboids, etc., etc. So your upper back is pretty much getting hit every single day, and that is the point. That is the key. That is how you get a big upper back. And if you have run the bridge, you should be used to it. It won't be a problem. So then on this Friday upper, we continue with a chin up or neutral up. You still do your pull-ups and some triceps push downs or cross body tricep extensions. And then we finish you off with a dumbbell fly press for more chest or cable flies and some preacher hammer curls or Bayesian curl. You see that this Friday is also in a sense an arm day. It is quite easy to get through. You only really do 2 heavy compounds. It is easy to manage. And then we finish you off with the Saturday lower where you'll do a heavy Romanian deadlift, only 3 sets, you don't need to do more, or a good morning that is valid, plus standing calf raises. Then you'll have to do some farmer carries or suitcase deadlifts, up to you, superset with the neck curls. Again, you will be training your neck in this program 2 times a week, then I'll up you to 3 times a week. And we finish with a leg press for the quads or a Smith machine squats, plus cable crunches or dragon flags. It is the last time you train abs for the week. So as you see, a lot of work, but again, if you actually go to the gym and you attempt to run this, you'll see that it doesn't take you that long thanks to the supersets. That is the point. The more you train throughout the week, the less volume you should be doing on any given day, and the less time, therefore, you should be spending in the gym. That is only logical, it's basic math. There's a big difference between doing 3 sets of bench press and 3 sets of ring push-ups on the same day, and doing 3 sets of bench press on Monday, and then 3 sets of ring push-ups on Wednesday. In the first case, you didn't recover in between. In the second case, you recovered, so you made gains in between. This is the beauty of high frequency. And I know that some of you guys maybe have never really thought about that because you just like to be in the gym. I'm using that biological bias of yours that wants to be in the gym, that wants to train, to your advantage to prioritize gains. If you train high frequency with the same approach as someone who trains low frequency, you're going to see no gains, and that is a shame in my opinion. Now, when do you know when it is time for you to move on from this split? Well, it's the same as always. When you want to, when it's time for you to move forward, and when you feel like you can progress further, you can train an extra day, you can do more volume. That might take you a lot of time. This intermediate split might only be occurring maybe 3 or 4 years into your journey. I really want you to milk these programs to the bone. Stay on the beginner program for 6 months. Stay on the novice program for a year. Stay on the bridge for another year. Stay on the intermediate phase for 2 years. The more volume you have into your program, the more shit you can do, the longer you can stick to it. So do not rush through this as fast as possible. Enjoy the journey, and the journey will lead you to the advanced stage. And the advanced stage is what you guys have been asking for. It's a 6 days a week split, upper lower times 3. You are now at a point where not only can you switch exercises and rotate, I actually encourage you to do so. In the intermediate phase, this or could mean either or. Here it's either or. You know what I mean? You're supposed to do both. You're supposed to rotate them every week. Why? Because you now train so frequently that actually dodging the law of biological adaptation is going to be key for your progression to continue. As far as rest days goes, this is also the first time in the program where the rest day is not set in stone. You don't have to rest on a given day. So for example, on the intermediate stage, you had to rest on Thursday and Sunday. You train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Here, you train as much as you want. I do not care when you take your rest day. You can take it whenever you want. You can take it after 4 days of training, 6 days of training, 8 days of training. It depends. It will depend on whether or not you have an ability to recover. And this program, this ultimate advanced program, is designed to let you hit every muscle group as soon as recovery allows. So you can literally hit every single muscle group hard every 48 hours if you choose. When it comes to what you can expect in terms of changes, the sets are up throughout the program. So now every single day can go up to 4 sets. Once again, if we look at basic math, it doesn't look like much, but since every single day now contains sometimes upwards of 8 exercises, 8 times 1 is 8. 8 extra sets per day times 6 is a shit ton, okay? I failed that math. Please don't ask me to do 6 times 8 by head. When it comes to the amount of sets added, logically too, I added 2 exercises per upper days and only 1 per lower days, because you understand the difference between lower days and upper days when it comes to energy expenditure. Naturally, since we went up to 6 days, an extra day was added. And every single day now contains giant sets. So it's not just one giant set with only isolation at the end. Now it's giant sets literally everywhere, meaning that if you skipped the previous training programs and you just jumped into this one, if you have poor work capacity, if you have poor recovery, you won't be able to handle this shit. It will not be possible. Your muscles will not be endurant enough. They will not recover fast enough. So please don't do that. You're just going to waste your time. There's no point. This program has to be earned. You have to deserve this program. You have to work up to this program. And once you have that ability, we can jump into what it actually entails. The Monday is exactly the same as the Monday for the intermediate program, except I added some fat grip neutral pull-ups. You can also rotate with lat pull downs. And I added some incline cable flies and converging chest press. So not only do you do 4 sets now, but I also added 8 total sets for the chest and for the upper back, which was a bit lacking in the intermediate program. Then for the Tuesday, I added something so vicious, so disgusting that even myself reading it, I felt bad for you guys. It's the way I train my calves, and I think that it works really well. So I want you guys to try it as well. What you're going to do is, instead of just doing 3 or 4 sets of seated calf raises, you're going to do these heavy sets with a given rep range at the start of the program. Then at the end of the program, you will come in and you'll do the exact same exercise, but this time with a dumbbell on your knees, a closed stance, your feet close together, and you're going to do 3 or 4 sets, as many reps as possible, meaning you keep going until it feels like your calf muscle is going to fall off the bone. If this doesn't make your calves grow, nothing in this known universe will. As for the rest of the day, I did not touch anything because I think it's a solid day. You really don't need to be doing more than that. Doing a squat, a split squat, a power shrug, and a leg curl will take care of the legs. You'll see that I come back with a vengeance on the other lower days, but this is the start of the week and I'm trying to not kill you too early. For the upper day, logically, it's the same too. You'll do your close grip bench press, your spider curls, etc. But I added an entire line of other exercises because you should be at a point where your arms and your limbs especially have an ability to handle volume to a point where you can now do multiple sets of multiple exercises per day. So I added some fat grip chin-ups, more work for the upper back. You can never do enough work for the upper back. Some hanging knee raises because you're going to train your abs a shit ton in this program again, pretty much almost every single day, not every single day, but almost. And I added some cable lateral raises or incline Y raises for your shoulders. The rest is stuff for the biceps, for the long end of the triceps. Then for your Tuesday lower, the modifications are as follows. The RDLs now go up to 4 sets. So you can really kill yourself on the RDL and the good mornings as well. And I did the same devious method and the same devious thing that I did to the seated calf raises. The standing calf raises now open with 3 or 4 sets of 8 to 12, and at the end of the program, at the end of the day, you do toes out standing calf raises, 3 to 4 sets, as many reps as possible. I also added some heel elevated pose squats as a rotation or variation to the leg press, and you do some serratus push-ups or serratus punches to develop the nice serratus muscles that look quite aesthetic, if I do say so myself. And then to wrap this up with the last 2 days of the program, you already trained 4 days at this point, you will be doing on the Friday upper some incline press, some croc rows for the upper back. Your upper back is going to become massive off of this. And I also added some pronation twists, so it's the lift that I've been showing for a while. If you don't know how to do it, refer to the forearm tier list. I also added some tricep dips and some cable skull crushers for more tricep development, and some cable crunches and dragon flags for the abs. You also will do some Bayesian curls or pelican curls for the stretch of the bicep, and some real delt swings and some upright rows for the development of the delt and the real delt in particular all of which, of course, is slapped on top of what you're already doing on this particular upper day for the intermediate program. So yes, it's going to be a lot of work, but that's for those of you that actually want to work really, really hard and really, really often. If you actually take a look, still, I never have you do more than 2 exercises per body part per day, something that can be handled. You can still handle that much volume. And then for the Saturday lower, you start with a Smith machine squat or a pendulum hack squat. I'm not going to repeat myself. You do the same thing for the seated calf raises. I added some incline rows if you want to hit the upper back again. In this case, you could also do some calf shrugs if you want to train the traps in particular, if your upper back is cooked. And we finish you off with snatch grip hyperextensions or single leg RDLs for the posterior chain. And that is that. So it's a beast of a program. It's called an advanced bodybuilding program for a reason. It will kill any motherfucker dumb enough to jump into it without the proper work capacity. If you wondered, it looks very similar to my split. I train 6 days a week, and on every given day, I do between 7 and 8 exercises. That's exactly what I have you do here. So as a conclusion, this program is going to have you train each body part 3 times a week with high intensity, which is made possible by the high frequency. And thanks to this high frequency, you also won't need to do more. In total, you'll get 9 to 15 sets per body part per week, which in my opinion is all the volume that you need to keep growing forever as long as the intensity and the frequency stay high. The rotations in the program allow you to continue training without plateaus or injuries because you don't just constantly hit the same lift times and times again. You can rotate week by week. And you will see also that the evolving reps and sets make it very easy to continuously get PRs even in an advanced stage because it's quite easy to get an extra rep when your rep range is 6 to 10, which in turn makes it possible to then add weight eventually. Of course, it's going to be much slower than when you were a novice, but when you were a novice, you were also much smaller. So all of these things sort of compute together. It makes a lot of sense that progress would slow down eventually, but never ever stop. If weight on the bar eventually stops on this program, it means there is a problem somewhere. It should never happen. If you're the type who prefers doing 8 to 12 sets of exercises per body part per day, that's fine. Just note that this comes at the detriment of frequency and intensity. And since again, this program was created for people who want to train hard and often, it's not possible to train hard and often and also do a shit ton of volume every single day for every single muscle. So low sets truly is the way to go for people who want to train high frequency, which is exactly what I am doing. If you run this program, you are going to run something that looks pretty much exactly like my split, except I don't do these exact lifts. And once again, if this expose was a bit fast for your taste, keep in mind that every single program is available in the description for you, along with my Ko-fi page. If you like these templates and you would like to thank me, you can always subscribe, but if you don't, it's fine. I love making programs for you guys. Now, I'm going to let you go. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. However, I will not be able to do so immediately because by the time this video hits your feed and you click on it, I will be swimming in the cold lakes of the mountains. I'm going camping this weekend. So I will go back on Monday and answer every single question that I can. But that is going to be all for me today. I am excited to go into the forest. I might even film some exercise days or some lifts that I do on trees for you guys. But that is going to remain a surprise. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.